Napa Valley Unified.
The fact that you work for the district shouldn't matter.
Well, it's a management position in the district, so.
The matter's been discussed with Commissioner, and I think that both under potential conflict of interest for financial considerations under the Political Reform Act and the appearance of impropriety, two factors under AB 1234 that I think you're all familiar with. That would be an accurate summary of why Commissioner Goff should be precluded from participating in 3.
Yeah, I just had to tease him.
Eric, your screen's still sideways.
Right. That's how my brain is, I think.
Chair Mallory, it is 6:31.
All right, I'll call the meeting, Planning Commission meeting of the City of American Canyon to order at 6:30 on May 26, 2022. I will now start the Pledge of Allegiance for those. Please raise your hand. Thank you, Nicole. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we get, let's see, the meeting announcement. So pursuant to AB 361, this meeting will be held entirely virtually. All methods available for public participation are detailed on the first page of the agenda. Can I get a roll call, please, Nicole?
Yes, Commissioner Altman.
Present.
Commissioner Goff.
Present.
Commissioner Navarro. Vice Chair Wong.
Present.
And Chair Mallory.
Present. All right, so this time is reserved for members of the public to address the Planning Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within subject matters jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. It's recommended that the speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and is requested that no comments be made during this time on items that are on the agenda. Nicole, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we have Hugh. Hugh, I'm going to unmute yourself, and for the record, could you please state your last name?
Hello, my name is Hugh Marquez. This is one of my first times talking to the Planning Commission, so hopefully I'm speaking to the right commission about my concern. I know we have some new developments going up on Oat Hill and out there by the town center. And I'm curious if it can be brought up, or if I go through you, that when a park, I know that when developments come in, that parks are usually required to produce a park or some kind of recreational in the neighborhood that they surround. And my question to you is, can it be put in a contract that a park have an ADA, that our town have an ADA park installed, that the developer install an ADA type park? Is that something I come to you to ask for? And that's my question is if in any of these new developments, is there any way that an ADA park can be encouraged to be developed for our handicapped children that we have in our town?
Thank you, Hugh. We'll make note of that, and then William will also take that back to the city planning. Thank you for your comment.
If anybody else has comments, please raise your hand at this time. This would be for non-agendized items. Nobody is raising their hand, Chair Mallory.
Thank you. I'll close public comment. Moving on to any agenda changes. William, do we have any agenda changes tonight?
We do not have any agenda changes.
Great, Mary, moving on along. Going down to the consent calendar, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for March 24th, 2022?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March 24th.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
Spittle.
I think that was Commissioner Altman.
Yeah. And Commissioner Goff, kind of simultaneously.
For the record, I think we'll go with Altman.
All right, Nicole, thank you.
Okay, so roll call, Chair.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Commissioner Altman,
Present.
Commissioner Goff,
Sorry. Aye.
Commissioner Goff,
Aye.
Commissioner Navarro, we didn't hear you, Commissioner Navarro. I saw an aye.
I see his mouth lips moving. Yes, thank you.
Vice Chair Wong
Aye.
and Chair Mallory.
Aye. Great, minutes passed. Thank you. First order of business is the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 capital improvement program. William, we have a report.
This one is led by our Public Works Director, Erica Smithies, and she has a
Erica,
report.
I apologize. Erica, table's all yours.
Good evening, Chair and fellow commissioners. Erica Almond-Smithies, Public Works Director for the City of American Canyon. Presenting to you tonight the fiscal year 2022-23 capital improvement program for consistency and conformity with Government Code Section 65401 and 65402. It has been presented to Planning Commission quite a bit, but this is something we'll be bringing to you on an annual basis, as it is part of the Government Code Section requirements. Prior to budget approval, this does not preclude the council from adopting new projects throughout the year, but when we have a capital improvement program, we are to bring it to you in advance of it coming to the next fiscal year. So with that, I do have a PowerPoint I'd like to share with you. I haven't done this in a while, so here, bear with me. Can everyone see the slideshow? All right, here we go. Capital Improvement Program, fiscal year 2022-23. The introduction, this is a California Government Code, requires it to be consistent with the general plan. That's why we come to the Planning Commission for you to review. We have 34 CIP projects proposed in this coming fiscal year. And as you can see, they're broken out predominantly at streets and transportation, but we have a few civic projects, parks and recreation. Public Works is more of storm drain improvements, wastewater and recycled water. The 21 are currently in progress or overlap from this current year. And then we have 13 new projects proposed for this coming fiscal year. The 2 in civic maintenance are the re-roof of City Hall. It was previously in the operations budget. We've moved it over to the capital improvement program. The other project is the demolition on Teresa Avenue. It's the house that's on the fault line that needs to come down. There are 2 new parks maintenance and improvements projects added from our Parks and Rec Director department, which is the Melvin Park tennis courts and the Melvin Park improvements, and then the aquatic center, looking at the aquatic center. And then there are 2 new public works stormwater related. Again, the one is they were previously in operations. We've now moved them over to the CIP program. It's mapping of utilities and our stormwater master plan. And the 6 new transportation projects should be no surprise if commissioners have been on it. I know many of you watched city council items, but 5 were added earlier this year. It was our one-time ARPA funds. And the one new project was the American Canyon Road East project. But there's a lot going on in the city, and you'll be seeing a lot more construction projects in the near future. General plan consistency on the Exhibit A to the attachment to the resolution. These were aligned with the applicability to the 1994 general plan goals. Many of the projects also meet some of the more current, like our pedestrian improvement plan, our bicycle plan, our Broadway district plan. Many of the projects are even on the more current status, and then our transportation projects are aligned with our more up-to-date circulation plan. The next steps would be that the Planning Commission finds the proposed CIP program for fiscal year 22-23 is consistent. The City of American Kings adopt a general plan. And then the next steps would be for City Council adoption with the annual budget later in June. And that would be a closing of my of my PowerPoint, very brief. I'm sure you have questions, so I'll let it stand there. I also have the Exhibit A up if anyone wants to go through it and look at it in more depth or detail.
Thank you, Erica. I'll open it up to commissioner comments. Oh, Erica, you're all right. Commissioner Altman.
I'll lead off. Just a really brief, simple question. The projects are all numbered. And I get the first two letters in the numbering fit what type of project. But the number to the far left, the 1 through whatever the final number is that a prioritization or is that just a random number based upon when you put this list together? That's when they came to your mind.
I'm trying to open that up right now. I have the PDF open and I'm trying to find it. My eyes are failing me right now. I thought I had the exhibit up here. Just a minute, if you can bear with me for a moment. I cannot see that. There we go. Okay, can everyone see that all right? So you're talking about, so there's like the numerical number 1, 2, 3, 4.
Correct.
On the left side, right? And then the CD is I'm not sure it's community development, and then excuse me, CF is more civic facilities. So the 1 is just a numerical number on the number of projects for the year, and then the first 2 numbers is like a division for us to monitor on our capital improvement fund. And then this annual number is more of a year number, calendar year 19 or 23 when it's anticipated to take place. And then the 0100 or 0200 is just an internal number on Public Works then on trying to it's not necessarily priority. As you see, some of these numbers are old, like new open space is a PR 13 number. So this started years ago, probably with the grant process. So it's been on our eyes to do this project, but finding funding and actually moving forward with it. So we're trying to put more realistic dates on when it actually is going to get either start design or start construction. So if that helps answer your question, Commissioner Altman.
It does. It does. It's so basically it's just, the far left number is not a matter of prioritization. So my follow-up is all of these projects, and it's a pretty lengthy list here. What do we go down to? 34. That's pretty good for a small city like us. Are we expecting all of them to be completed or at least begun in this under this improvement program, or kind of how what's the workflow basically?
So as I said, there's over 20 that are already in process right now. They are either in design, in the planning stages, or waiting on grant funds, or they're in construction. For example, Devlin Road Extension 7H, that will fall off. That is going to be done. I mean, we had a ribbon cutting yesterday, those of you who are attending, thank you. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm at home. The Dublin Road Extension Segment H will be a project that's done. Green Island Road has multiple phases. So as you can see, it started in 16, but there's been work that's happened, like right-of-way acquisition. There has been some conduit work done underneath the railroad tracks. This summer, the project will be let out to undergrounding the overhead district lines or overhead utility lines on Green Island Road. And then next year, it will be under construction for the road widening following summer. So, so the answer is some of these projects will be done. Some of these projects will still be in process.
Okay, but they'll all be in some fashion.
There'll be some work in the process. In fact, there's some in here that are Littlemore Trail, Newell Driveway. That one's been on the books for a while, and so has the East American Canyon Sidewalk. It'd be nice to tackle those this coming year, but we have like the grant funding projects, such as the ARPA projects that council awarded earlier this year, or designated funds towards. We need to track the bicycle and pedestrian improvements that are slated to go this year, this summer, fall, and then some bigger projects. So there are some priority projects here that move up on the scale, but the intent is to start at some form and fashion all of these projects. Yeah.
Got it. And my final question, and it's just because of what I do professionally, we haven't had a chance to spend much time, but I underwrite surety bonds. So bid performance and payment bonds for contractors doing public works projects. What's the dollar figure of the overall expense here? And what is the single largest and the single smallest project that we're looking at?
The answer is millions. I don't have we're still working on the final budget numbers. Finance has these numbers. I used to present this, my prior role, I used to present this with the budget, but we haven't gone through that whole process yet with the subcommittee. They've seen the preliminary draft of the CIP, but it's not been finalized yet. Finance will have to tell us what we can actually, what we have to deliver these projects this coming fiscal year. But I think the single largest project on this list right now is the Green Island Road, which is about a $14 million project for the undergrounding and for the widening and all the pavement rehabilitation in the district itself.
Okay. Thank you.
I think, you're welcome. Would you like me to leave this list up here or stop sharing? I'll let the commissioners let me know.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Tammy?
Thank you, Chair Malari. Director Smithies, thank you for joining us and presenting the list. I was hoping, in light of one of the public comments that we had earlier asking about playground equipment, I see that number 7 on the list is a playground replacement project. Would you just happen to know if that would happen to include any of what our public commenter, Mr. Marquez, asked about in regards to ADA equipment?
Thank you for asking me to answer that question. I do believe on the playground equipment, there's at least one park slated for inclusionary equipment, as they call it. So the playground equipment has not been finalized yet, but that was definitely included on the list. I'm not sure if it was 1 or 2 park playground replacements, but inclusionary playground equipment, it has been included, will be part of the projects. I would also recommend Mr. Hughes Marquez to check in with the Parks Commission, or at least Alexandra Akeda with our new Parks and Recreation Director. Check in with her as far as we do park playground replacement projects. We're very sensitive to make sure it's inclusionary for everyone, and that we include everybody on these projects. So it is definitely on our radar. So I appreciate the question.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that we are going to be expanding the type of equipment that we offer at our playgrounds. And I really enjoyed seeing the grand opening of our Newell extension and the new Vine Trail extensions. And it's great to see that item number 21 on the list talks about class 2 bike lanes and crosswalk improvements. I am curious, can you elaborate a little bit more on what's meant by crosswalk improvements?
What we have right now is a lot of the old school just sidebar, and we need to start thinking, and we have I've been given this direction, or I've given this direction, is that we need to start putting the high vis crosswalks in. Usually you don't want to go out there and blacken out the sidebars, the rails on the crosswalks. So what we're adding is the high vis ladder portion, continental crosswalks to these intersections. We do have a consultant assisting us with this because we're low on resources, staffing resources this time to deliver all these projects this coming year. So we might even go with the new, well, we'll roll it out differently, but it's just adding more vibrancy to these intersections that are just they're either faded or there's just not much there to really say, hey, slow down, there are pedestrians crossing here, or could be pedestrians crossing here. And then there are some enhanced crosswalks, one particularly on Elliott Drive, which will be a rapid flashing beacon. So it'll be a push button crossing there at the trail and the adult activity center. Benton Way, originally it was an enhanced crosswalk, but we are revamping the entire length of Benton Way once the recycled project is completed. And so it might actually expand upon and do more class 2 and more apparent crosswalk intersections along the entire extent from Wetlands Edge to Elliott Drive.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, I like the idea of more visible crosswalks. Congressman Thompson, as it is opening remarks at the opening, he made a comment that Napa County, he said we were the 8th highest in this, I think, in the state for bicycle and pedestrian accidents.
Oh. I wouldn't doubt that, and there was another one hit this week actually in St. Helena on the crosswalk, so hit and run actually. So American Canyon is not isolated in those kind of incidents. It's happening everywhere, not just in our county either. But I was not aware of the 8th in the state. That's a pretty high number.
Yeah, it is.
And maybe that's why we did get reached out to, as many are aware, not to get off topic, but Berkeley Safe Truck is awarded us a complete streets assessment, and they're focusing on high incident corridors, but Benton Way is one of them that they're looking at. So our goal is to get that complete street assessment and then utilize that to implement some of the easy improvements with the repaving of Benton Way once the recycle pipeline project is complete. So we should be getting that assessment in another month or so.
Okay. Well, thank you for the elaboration on those 2 items. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you, Commissioner Wong. Any last comments from the commissioners? No. Okay, we're good. Erica, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you for being so informative with all of the capital improvements that's going on in the city. I think it's really imperative we just kind of keep the city abreast of all the comments or the projects that we currently have going on. So I'm excited to see what improvements we have next. Commissioner Wong?
Hi, are we taking public comments on this item?
I believe it's a business. Do we need to take a public comment on this?
It's a business item, so it's discretionary with the chair about whether public comments are taken, not a public hearing. Any public comments should be focused on the limited aspect of what the matter is agendized for review for before the commission.
Okay. Understood. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. I don't think that we need to open a public comment for this this item here. Moving on to the next item on the agenda.
Wait, you need to adopt the resolutions, part of the staff.
Oh, apologize. Any recommendation to adopt the resolution of the 2022-2023 capital improvement plan? Do I need to make that?
No, I got it. I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution determining that the FY 2022-23 capital improvement program CIP is consistent with the general plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Goff. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Nicole?
Okay. Commissioner Altman,
Aye.
Commissioner Goff,
Aye.
Commissioner Navarro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Wong,
Aye.
Chair Mallory.
Aye.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, moving on to the next business item, determination of the general plan conformity for property exchange with Napa Valley Unified School District of the Community Center, American Canyon Middle School gym property, and the Napa Junction Elementary School site property.
Chair Mallory, I'm going to recuse myself from this discussion as through conversations with City Attorney.
Great, thank you. Mr. Ross, do you have any comment before we proceed?
No, I will text the commissioner when we're done with this proceeding so he can participate in the balance of the meeting. I think is the way we'll do it. I'm going to require the assistance of Mr. He in presenting this next matter. The issue concerns a proposed exchange of property of two parcels that I think are familiar to all of the commissioners, but are described in detail in the staff report. One is the former Napa Junction Elementary School site north of Napa Junction Road. The other is actually, as described, a combination of three APNs. You can see the outlined portion in light blue. See Napa Junction Road at the bottom portion of this display. It's one assessor's parcel number. It's currently in the sole ownership of the school district. The parcels to be exchanged involve three parcels, of which there are separate APNs as described in both the staff report and in the resolution. What you see here is the remainder portion of those three APNs. Why there are three assessors parcels number are because the school site was acquired in a series of separate actions. If you look beneath that cross-hatched portion, what that is the actual school facilities. To the right, right above, say, the designation of gym site is the recreation area and an associated parking lot that the city operates. The purpose of the exchange, and there would have to be a lot line adjustment, which is a ministerial action authorized under originally both the Subdivision Map Act and now general land use provisions in the government code, is to get this 4.6 acre parcel so that it can be transferred by the city to the school district. I think there are a few members on the commission that may remember that part of the way that the school community center was constructed was through an agreement between the city and the school district for both financing and development purposes at that time. So the purpose now, and it's as indicated in the staff report and the resolution, is the exchange is beneficial to both the city and the school district. From the school district, it's in their benefit to have sole title to what I'm going to term the educational facilities of the property now that's jointly owned. From the city's perspective, it's beneficial to facilitate future recreational and community facilities to have the entirety of the old Napa Junction school site. Why is this required? When a local agency, which is defined as the city, not including the school district, proposes to acquire or transfer property, a conformity finding has to be made by the planning agency of the local agency. The planning agency is defined under the government code for both a county, which is the local land use agency, and a city local land use agency to be the planning commission. Notice that the word was conformity. In your prior action, you made two findings. One of consistency, because that's required under 65401 for the city to proceed with capital improvement projects on its property. There's also a finding under 65402 of conformity, so that when right-of-ways are acquired and so forth, or areas within areas for park and recreation purposes, that conformity finding be made. The same concept is applicable here. Both parcels, meaning the entire, I'm going to call it the 9-acre school and city property, and the Napa Junction Unified Elementary School property, are designated public in the current general plan, and correspondingly have the wide range of public uses that are associated with that general plan designation. All right. So the purpose of the action tonight, which is a condition precedent for transfer, is to find both properties in conformity with the general plan. Again, conformity. I can just see the wheels turning. Well, why did the legislature use the term conformity as opposed to consistency? That's part of the legislative wisdom of this statute. I don't know. I think the wisdom that I think is associated with that legislative decision is to make sure that there's a broad category that's applicable for the acquisition of property. I can't say the same thing for disposal or transfer of property. So the issue is the property of the school district, which is to be acquired by the city, and is the property to be determined by a lot line adjustment to be transferred to the school district in conformance with the general plan. That determination is governed by the general plan land use map and the few policies that are referenced. Now, what is not before you is the terms and conditions of this exchange agreement. It was the subject of a press release late on Monday, and the matter will be heard by the city council at the second council meeting in June. The city manager described it this way: the future of the former school site is a blank slate. After the agreement is finalized, the city council will begin the process for listening to the community ideas and interests before ultimately deciding its new future. The resolution and the staff report both make reference to policies and goals contained in the general plan for that, that could be fulfilled on that site with respect to community facilities, recreation, open space purposes. I'm not the one to guess at what the city council may designate for that parcel. But I am entitled to say, based on existing land use documents, the parcel is in conformity legally with what's designated in the current general plan. So issues concerning the content and purpose of the general or the exchange are to be explored extensively by the city council in the future. But the matter before the commission tonight is this issue of determining that the property to be acquired by the city is in conformance with the general plan, and the property to be transferred by the city to the school district. And again, this will be the result of a lot line adjustment, but please understand that it's the result of moving the existing 3 parcel lines to get to that approximate 4.6 acre parcel. The assistant superintendent for business development for the school district, Michael Pearson, met with Mr. Hawley on Monday so that the legal meets and bounds for that parcel, which was displayed earlier, can be determined. So to summarize and maybe say it more succinctly, the matter before you is just a determination of conformity with the general plan. The wisdom, if you will, of the exchange agreement, which has not yet been made public, but summarized in both the resolution and the staff report and the press release that I've described, clearly place it within allowed public uses for both parcels. Why is it coming before you in this condition? There's an urgency agreed to by both the city and the school district to process as soon as possible. As I understand it, the school district would benefit because of clear title to the transferred property from the city. I think that would be the summary of the staff presentation on this issue. I'm sure there are questions. I'll attempt to answer them. Good, no questions.
You're not off yet, buddy.
Better than that.
William, did you have something to present or not?
No, this is mostly Mr. Ross's show for tonight, so I don't have anything to add.
All right, well, let's open it up to commissioner comments, questions. Commissioner Altman.
Oh, I've got
I'll start off with you.
Let's see. I understand the nature of this resolution is simply a finding of conformity. However, I have to ask, given the school district's persistent concerns and complaints about their financial condition and need to close schools and do various other, take various other steps, cut back on programming and so on, in order to meet their budgetary goals. How does this, and I know City Attorney Ross, you're the wrong guy to ask, but how does this make sense because the concern that I have ultimately is, should the district have to be taken over by the state, or even worse, have to file bankruptcy, what happens to the properties being transferred, because it includes the middle school gym and the community center?
I can't speak for the school district, but I can certainly indicate that there are severe development constraints on the school district property. There have been several assessments of the property. It's located on an active fault, which under the Alquist-Priolo Act would preclude, I'm just going to say, most development opportunities on that property because of the required 50-foot setback for any development. It would.
I'm more concerned about middle school, the property we would be giving to them. If they go bankrupt, what happens to the middle school gym and community center facility?
I'm not familiar with that process, and I'm going to say that's beyond the scope of what's the commission's purview here. But I would also indicate that I think this exchange agreement, the basis for it proceeding forward, addressed the mutual concerns of both the city and the school district. And certainly one of the concerns of the school district are financial implications. And I think, one thing that can reasonably be construed to come out of this agreement would be the facilitation for the development of Oat Hill and that property, which has recently, cleared the hurdle of issues with the county and the Airport Land Use Commission about its location within Zone D. Why is that critical? And these are all matters of public record, but not related to the issue of conformity. Is that developer is obligated to pay, this is plus or minus about $1.1 million for the development that's authorized and vested on that property. So, there are, as a result of this, places in motion actions that would be of financial benefit to the district. Again, is that related to conformity with general plan of the city? No, but the obligations of the Oat Hill residential project are things that this commission's already familiar with because of the numerous times that it's been heard. And I'm just going to say, I recall several times that the issue of school fees came up, and I believe more than once the amount that I referenced was stated as an obligation of the developer to the school district. Would this exchange facilitate that? Yes, if you'll look in the staff report, the transfer of the school district parcel is the entire parcel. For whatever reason, a long time ago, back in the 50s, when the school district acquired the property and Napa Road went through, Napa Junction Road, east-west, the school district retained a fee interest over both a water and sewer and a partial access easement of the county, right? So on a very technical basis, this exchange agreement would clarify that issue so that there would be access to Oat Hill. And again, I'm not speaking out of turn. That's all based on public documents, one of which is before you. You can look at the exhibit on the APN for the school district site concerning that issue. an exchange between public agencies is, I'm going to just make an overview. In terms of government regulation is I was going to say most rapid, but I'm going to say the most efficient way time-wise to facilitate an exchange if it's determined that the properties are beneficial to both parties. So I think that's the way I'm going to respond to your question. Again, noting that I've referenced matters of public record, but I'd again go back to the fence lines of the issue that's before the commission.
Okay.
Any other commissioner comments, questions? Adoption. All right. Let's see.
Gonna have to the city manager on this one in terms of the negotiation. I just I've got my concerns with the district.
Understood. Just not the matter at hand currently. More of the conformity of what if it's within the general plan.
Yeah, in terms of conformity, I don't have any concern. I just have concern about the middle school gym and community center being negatively impacted. I get the benefits of acquiring the Napa Junction school property, but given its limitations, I don't know that the district can do much with it. So it seems like we're being extraordinarily generous as far as I'm concerned. Unless we get some firm commitments.
I have one question, maybe for Mr. He. Are you aware of any immediate changes that we would be impacted once the transaction's completed? In the operations, like would the public feel a difference once this transaction's been completed? And I know this is not along the lines of what we're talking about, but just for public awareness.
Kind of a hypothetical question, I guess. But because the exchange is just between two P zones and both of them are, it's just a change of landlords, I don't see any impact in the near future. But I think Mr. Ross can add to that if you want.
I'd emphasize that. That's a matter that would be further defined in the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't want to keep going back to this fence line, but is it a legitimate question? Absolutely, it's a legitimate question. But the way this is one of these sequences in land use law it's been there. It's been recently modified. It's there for a purpose. So in order for the exchange to go forward, this is a precondition. I think, again, going back to what are the reasons by the legislature? Well, you've all heard, in the last 2 years about the wisdom of the general plan. It's the Constitution for development. It's a comprehensive planning document. It's supposed to involve all aspects of a community, including other responsible agencies, the schools. You've even chosen to preliminarily have an education element in the general plan prospectively. So the idea of finding conformity with the general plan is, an indication that this will fit within the community. How specifically? I think that's the exchange agreement, and that's for the legislative body of the city and the legislative body, the trustees of the district to resolve. The one thing I want to emphasize, I mean, obviously I'm counsel to the city, but I think going forward, this it evidences a very strong commitment of good faith of the city and the school district. And I'm just going to say, in my opinion, I think I'm familiar with the chronology of a whole series of events going back to even coming up with the financing for the high school. And I think this effort's significant. I think it's positive. I don't normally express opinions like that. I think the record says that. So.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further questions, I'm ready to move to approve. If I may.
Yes, please do so. Thank you.
Okay, I move to approve resolution of the Planning Commission, City of American Canyon, determining general plan conformity pursuant to government section 65402 for the proposed property exchange of the community center / American Canyon Middle School gym property and the Napa Junction Elementary School site property.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Sorry about that. Commissioner Altman?
A reluctant aye, because it is in conformity and it does have some benefits for us. I just have serious concerns with the school district, and I pray that they don't mess up the gym and community center as a result of this.
Okay. Commissioner Navarro?
Aye.
Vice Chair Wong?
Aye.
I should note that Commissioner Goff has recused himself from this, and Chair Malari.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to active planning projects.
Yeah, should
Commissioner
we-
Goff coming back?
Yeah, should we
Oh.
contact Commissioner Goff?
He's actually back. I'm going
Phil
to,
said he was going to text him, come on back.
so I'm asking him to start his video. And I'm asking him to unmute himself. Oh, he might have walked away. He appears on my sidebar.
In the interest of time, I will start my update for the Community Development Department. So a couple of new items since last March. The hotel at the ruins is our Watson Ranch boutique hotel. It's led by Mr. McGrath and the American Canyon One Properties. It is a 200-room hotel, kind of like north of where Watson Ranch lots 14 and 15 would be. So we just got that application about a week ago, starting to look at it. Looks like a really nice hotel, and has a lot of good integration with the ruins and the surrounding properties. So I don't think it will be ready for you next month, but probably in maybe 2 or 3 months, it might be brought before you guys. The residences at Napa Junction, this is the project north of the Reliant Apartments. They had a pre-application about 2 months ago, and they took in staff's comments, and they decided to actually submit the formal application. This is a really large project, 453 apartments. These are not condos, they're apartments, and they are are providing 15% of those units as very low income affordable units. So with that, they also have requested some concessions in their design that's going to be compliant with state law. So we have about 3 weeks looking at this, and probably we'll give them the first round comments at the end of this week, or maybe Tuesday. So we're working hard at getting their comments out. The car wash pre-application. This is another new one. This is at the Febreze statue site. A developer is interested in converting that site into a car wash. And we've provided them comments on May 5th, and they're deliberating through those comments, and they may or may not submit a formal application. That's where we're at with that one. The Home2 Suites major modification. This is our Home2 Suites hotel. They want to change a condition of approval, which is the undergrounding of utilities. This one, they've worked with PG&E for a very long time on trying to get a design that complies with PG&E. They're still working with them, and we're getting really close, but Public Works is taking the direct communication with their team. And hopefully we have some method to comply with the undergrounding, but also make it feasible for the applicant as well. This one, there's a good chance that it might come to you guys in next month in June, but not, it'll be ready in July. Napa Cove lot line adjustment, they're approved for the lot line adjustment. They just need to finish reporting it. So getting really close for that part. Another one is the Fume Cannabis CUP. I guess there's an update for that from Director Cooper, saying that in May 1st, they're working on their background check results. So hopefully that gets cleared and they can finish up the project at Klamath Court. Nothing new for Sun Square. The Giovannoni Logistics Center, we just received the draft environmental impact report on the 20th. So it's been a week in Director Cooper's hands. So he and fellow staff have been reviewing it. Hopefully we can give comments to that applicant in about 2 or 3 weeks. No new activity for the STG 217 project, and neither for the other 2 cannabis projects as well. Let's see. Napa Cove, for their grading and building permits, the building permits have been issued. The site improvement plans are close to being completed. Seems like will be ready probably next week. The PG&E Regional Center, that's at 500 Boone, that one, their site improvement plans have been issued actually in the end of February. And so they are going to begin grading the big 24-acre site there. Rough grading has been started for the Watson Ranch Lot 10 subdivision. And we are all really close to completing the building permits for their model homes. So I think they have 3 proposed, and we're waiting for the fire sprinkler and fire alarm plans to be completed. But it's really exciting to see new homes in the Watson Ranch area, and the model homes could be a very good, something real to people can walk in and see. Lemos Point, no update, but they're working hard on getting the site ready for the modules that they have been building. And moving down the line, the Napa Junction 3 6B building. That's the new medical building north of the Dunkin' Donuts. Permits were issued in May of 2021, and we are expecting a ribbon cutting in June, first week of June. So they're almost done. So this is going to be North Bay Urgent Care. And Canyon
That's
is
next week.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure they're almost done. The last thing that I saw was that they needed to put in some lights for and finish painting the parking for planning, but never know what the building officials need them to complete. Canyon Estates, that's the site north of the high school. Those 35 custom homes. They've been working a lot on the grading of the site. I did talk to Edison from Public Works this afternoon and asked him, it's kind of like, what's new over there? And he said that there's a lot going on. They're going to begin building sidewalks there in the next 3 weeks. They're going to integrate flashing beacons at the intersection of Granite Springs and Newell pretty soon, in a couple weeks. And they're finishing up the lookout point. If you could folks remember that there was going to be a lookout point at the Canyon Estates. So they're moving along. Copart Auto, this site has been out on the, I guess it's on the edge of the city in the Green Island Road. The site improvement plans have been actually approved just, I think, last week, but they need to finish the demo plan because they are demolishing some old buildings on the site before they can even grade. So that's in review and most likely going to be approved in the next couple weeks. And Home2 Suites, they, as I mentioned, they're working on that major mod. I did see that they had a couple of trailers out there now, and they're grading the site as well. So I think the last one is Circle K. That's our last fuel station that was approved before the emergency ordinance. Circle K has the building is, you know, it's up, and they're working on, I guess it's applying the brick wainscots on the sides, and they're also working on the gas station canopy that's getting up almost vertical now too. So let's see. Oh, and then I think Nicole can also add to say that we're doing a lot on a general plan update. On, was it Monday, we went to give a housing element outreach talk to the seniors, and then last April we were at the middle school giving, we had a table there doing outreach for the housing element as well. So lots of exciting stuff for the general plan update.
William, can I add a couple things in here really quick?
Yeah, sure. I think
So,
that's it for me too.
All right, sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to make sure I got this out here because we do have some events coming up where we will be looking for planning commissioner participation. Details are still being finalized, but the first event will be the June 8th Meet Me in the Street event. The Community Development Department will have tables at all 3 Meet Me in the Street events. So if you can't do this one, then there's July and August as well. And we will have a survey or some sort of interactive participation, and then a giveaway for people who do engage with you. So it's an actual opportunity where we would love to have commissioner participation. Additionally, we'll be having tables at both the Pride pop-up on June 18th. That's going to be at the community park on Benton Way. And then the Juneteenth Father's Day event on Sunday, June 19th, and that'll be at the Main Street Park. And those events are being coordinated by outside event people. So the Pride event is being coordinated by by an organization in Napa, the LBGQT organization, and then Juneteenth is being coordinated by an event planner. So I'll have there. I'm just waiting on more details from them, but it'll be both events are. We'll be looking for participation in the late morning and then afternoon. So I think Pride's 11 to 4, and Juneteenth is tentatively 1 to 6 p.m. If there's any interest in any of that, then please go ahead and contact me. I'll also be sending out emails and asking for participation and providing more details.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, thanks.
Any more updates on projects, William? No.
That's all I got.
Questions for William before we move on?
I've got just one. The Paoli Watson Lane annexation, anything happening there? I know it's you know, the resident fostered that they're trying to get the signatures and so on. But any movement on that?
I think Mr. Ross has an update.
I believe at the next council meeting, we're bringing back the RFP or the NOP on the proposed environmental analysis to go forward. The city's carrying it. So that would initiate the environmental review of that. There are extensive discussions with the executive officer of LAFCO about it, focused on the concern that there are agricultural uses within the Watson Lane on that aspect. Recall it's already within the sphere of the city. So I would say, you know, the environmental review will probably be enacted at the next city council meeting, and that begins the process.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, let's moving on to commissioner items. Do you have any commissioner items that they'd like to share?
Got one. I just wanted to do a shout out to city staff, including William and Brent Cooper, who have been part of a Citizen Academy Light for the seniors at the high school. Each departments have come out and done a day of presentations. William was out there, Brent was out there, I think 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, it was Mrs. Goff's class and her bright seniors. So, although some of them were anticipating a Disneyland trip the day after, so I don't know how much of information they retained.
It was nice to give that opportunity to our seniors who are now turning into voting residents. A good idea of how certain departments in the city run. So a big shout out to city staff and a thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else with any items? No, all right. I see too, we can adjourn the meeting. Everybody have a great evening.
And a happy Memorial Day weekend.
Happy
Very
Memorial
true.
Day.
Have a good weekend.
Have a
Take care,
good one.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Take care all. Good
William,
job.
Good job.